rather spend his Christmas holiday with someone else. I guess he stopped thinking about me. Yeah. I don't know what he's thinking when he says that he's been driving all night, all day to celebrate Christmas with me. But he's not here, and I'm not there. I don't know what he wants now, but I don't care. Yeah. Oh, ain't ringing my bells no more. Oh, he missed out on love, and that's for sure. He ain't ringing my bells no more. He missed out on love, and that's for sure. I don't know what he wants now, and I don't know why he said all the things he said to me. It means nothing to me now, 'cause there will be someone who would not complain to drive all night, all day to celebrate Christmas with me. 'Cause you're not here, and I'm not there. I don't know what you want now, but I don't care. Oh, you ain't ringing my bells no more. Oh, you miss out on love, and that's for sure. You ain't ringing my bells no more. You miss out on love, and that's for sure. You ain't ringing my bells, no. He ain't ringing my bells no more. He missed out on love, and that's for sure. All year long I've been keeping track
trust me, I'm waiting up for you, coming down my chimney on Christmas Day. We'll be side by side to see this year's Santa Claus is coming home to me. Yeah, this year's Santa Claus is coming home to me.
I'd like to call the Planning Commission study session to order. Well, I banged it first, but okay. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 23rd, 2024 Huntington Beach Planning Commission study session. While the Planning Commission welcomes public input and free speech, it rejects comments from anyone that are discriminatory, defamatory, or otherwise not protected speech. Those comments will not inform nor be considered by the Planning Commission and may be cause for the chair to interrupt the speaker. Such comments will not be consented to or otherwise adopted by the Planning Commission in its discussions and findings for any matter tonight. Thank you. And at this point, Mr. Coit, can you do the roll call?
Commissioner Adams is absent. Commissioner Kennedy. Here. Vice Chair Twining.
Here.
Chair Pellman.
Here.
Commissioner Wood.
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Here.
Commissioner Costa Galvan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And at this time, do we have any public comments?
We have no one signed up for public comments.
Okay. Okay, so there's no speakers. So next on the agenda in our study session item, which is the zoning map amendment cleanup overview. And staff, I believe we have a presentation. Yes?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Madeline Welch, Associate Planner, will give the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight's study session item is an overview for the zoning map amendment project that was brought to study session in October of 2023 and has been reorganized based on direction provided from that study session meeting. This item, this is zoning map amendment cleanup overview, and I am Madeline Welch, the project planner. So to provide some background, as you know, the general plan is a comprehensive blueprint that provides a framework for the city's resources and guides decisions regarding the land use through 2040. California State Law Section 65860 requires that the zoning ordinance for every city be consistent with the general plan. This is because the zoning ordinance and the zoning map are tools that are used to implement the general plan, so they should be consistent, specifically the land use element of the general plan. With that, staff has identified 141 parcels which have zoning designations that are inconsistent with the general plan. For additional background, since staff has identified parcels throughout the city that have become inconsistent over time as the general plan updates have occurred, with the last update being in 2017, this amendment is prompted as a housekeeping item to clean up such inconsistencies, essentially a long overdue cleanup. So when inconsistencies exist, properties are then considered non-conforming. So this amendment is not only important to comply with state law, but to also relieve such sites of those limitations that occur when nonconformities exist. The proposed designations will generally correspond to the pattern of the existing uses on site, since the sites are mostly already developed. Staff has broken down this project into phases, bringing one phase to the commission at a time. And during each phase, staff will go through every parcel included in this proposal to allow the commission the opportunity to have a deeper understanding of each parcel and what each amendment will look like. So we have revised our community outreach efforts, and this includes expanding the noticing for the project to not only the subject parcels, but also to the properties within at least 300-foot radius of each subject site, as well as sending out the notice for each hearing a month before, instead of the required 10 days, to allow the community additional time to review the notice, to contact staff with any questions or concerns they may have, or to provide additional time for them to plan ahead should they wish to attend the meeting. We have also added additional language on the notices that were sent to the property owners of the subject sites, which includes information on the option to opt out should they wish to do so. Phase 1 of this project includes 17 of the 141 parcels, which will be presented at tonight's Planning Commission hearing. The notices for Phase 1 were sent out a month prior from today's date, and it included 2,200 notices. So here is the tentative schedule with all 141 parcels split up into 6 phases. Essentially, it's a breakdown of the first phase will be city parks and city-owned properties. The second phase will be sites that are developed as churches or schools. Phase 3 will be the 25 parcels that are located within the coastal zone, and these are separated because with this zoning map amendment, it will also include a local coastal program amendment. Phase 4 will include utility type of properties proposed to be amended to the public and semi-public zone. Phase 5 will include properties with the proposed amendment to the commercial zone, and Phase 6 will be residential. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank staff for taking the direction of the commission to basically lay out that, split it up so that it's easier to follow. And so I wanted to commend you all for doing that, and thank you. It's going to make it much easier to follow, at least in my opinion. Are there any commissioners that would like to speak?
Yeah, I have some.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yep. And then, yeah. Is this the time for just some questions? Yeah. First off, to echo Chairman Pellman,
Yes.
the way you guys broke it out, thank you for taking the direction. It really makes it easy to understand. You grouped it in like bodies and really logical. You did a nice job with the blowouts, and it was well done. With that said, there's a few questions I had just in reading through. So my first question would be, do we currently have an adopted general plan?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the stipulations that says to having an adopted general plan is to have consistency in the parcels. So how can we have an adopted general plan with inconsistencies? How did they adopt the plan?
So the general plan is adopted first and provides the framework for zoning follow-up. This is part of that process of making the zoning consistent with the general plan. It's literally what we're doing.
Okay. Okay. It would almost seem like it would be better to get the zoning in place than adopt the plan. It's almost backwards.
Well, the general plan is sort of the policy document, and the zoning is the implementation. So in the hierarchy or structure of these types of documents, the general plan is sort of the guide for the zoning. So generally speaking, the council will set the policies, including the land use policies, the land use map, and then the zoning follows.
Okay. Okay. I mean, just based on how it's written, though, it is a contradiction. It says in order to have an adopted general plan, you have to have no inconsistencies. So by virtue of the definition of an adopted general plan, it does seem to be a contradiction. Just a statement. I understand where you're coming from, but if you read what it takes to have an adopted plan, you would not have consistencies because you would have not met the definition of an adopted plan lacking inconsistencies, whether it's a policy document or not. That's just the way it's written. That's how I read it, but that's just an observation. Of the 2,200 notices that went out, what I think would be helpful is the response rate. How many people replied or responded? And it would be either nice to know how many either replied, so the response rate, or how many didn't. It's one or the other. It's basically the same mathematics. Do you have
Maddie
that?
can give you that
I do,
information.
yes. We received 5 inquiries when the notices were sent out. 3 were inquiring for more further detail because they resided near one of the parks. And then 2 were, they had questions about if this amendment was including any development on those sites. And we stated that this is specifically mapping purposes and directed them to the Community Services Department. Any projects done on parks is through that department. This is only, there's no project or development proposed with this.
Right. So, thank you. So, on these zoning cleanups, this is pretty much a straightforward thing. There's no residential effect. There's nobody who's going to face a consequence because they're non-conforming or there's a new up or down zone for them. So that's fine. But 5 out of 2,200 is, I mean, in a marketing metric, that would be terrible. When we get to other ones that are more consequential, I mean, you would hope that there is a much better response rate. I would be looking for a failure rate indicating maybe that these residents did not receive the document, or you would think that there would be somebody who really has a vested interest, like when we get to the resi part of it and some of these other ones, you would hope that we would have a much better response rate, either to some extent. So hopefully we can track that along the way. I personally would like to see the envelope that goes out and the mail piece to make sure it's easily understood and identifiable as something that should be opened. Because I think it is important for these residents that when they have zoning changes that are going to affect their property, whether it's negligible or not, to make sure they understand what that piece of mail is, because we all get a lot of mail.
Yeah, we anticipate that as we move forward and get to some of the more, as you mentioned, ones that affect private property owners, there'll be more interest in these cleanup amendments.
Okay, all right. Okay. In the future, I'm going to just delineate my questions. I put them all on all my notes, and then they get lost in the shuffle. I don't want to be too long in trying to find my questions, but there was one other question I did have. So it says that on the legislation text 23-1073, it says it's asking for the exemption for the environmental signing section 15-183. And then later on in that legislation text, it says CEQA is non-applicable. So if it's not applicable, why are we asking for an exemption?
Well, so part of reviewing a project, there's a CEQA, essentially like a CEQA analysis for it, and there's exemptions. And so this project can be exempt from CEQA. So it's stating that.
For the study session, because it's just a study session, there's no action taken. There's no applicable CEQA for this part of the meeting because this planning commission's not taking any action. There's no CEQA involvement in this part. It's just
Aren't we being asked to vote on this tonight?
tonight at the public hearing. So as part of the public hearing, you'll be making essentially 2 actions. One will be a CEQA action, and the other will be a recommendation on the zoning map amendment. For purposes of the study session, there's no action and no CEQA that's requested.
So can I ask you to hold that question until we're into the next phase of our meeting?
Okay.
Is that okay? And
Yeah.
I can give Commissioner Rodriguez a chance here, okay? Thank you. Commissioner
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
I mean, I just want to piggyback off the question, but I think overall, this is just a policy direction. Should that parcel or whatever parcel we're talking about decide to be developed, then there would be some CEQA involved, correct? At that time? That's how I'm sort of understanding his
Yeah,
question.
yes, at the time an action is taken,
Yeah,
that's when a
so-
CEQA action will be
So right now,
taken.
it's just the general policy that we're passing. It doesn't exclude CEQA, because if there's something developed on that site in the future, that property may need to go CEQA review based on the project itself, correct?
Yeah, so there'll be two. So at tonight's public hearing, the Planning Commission will be taking a CEQA action on the map change recommendation, so changing from whatever it is now to open space, parks and recreation, and what those CEQA impacts are or consequences are, which the staff is going to say that there aren't any because there's no physical change in the environment.
Okay.
Potentially, at a later future time, if there is a park project with full development, yeah, there would be a CEQA process for that park project, potentially, yeah.
So it sounds like, though, that the parks that are on here are all developed, correct?
Yeah, so if they ever, somewhere down the line, they decided to do a park project and it was extensive enough, it might require CEQA. It may, like something like a change out of a playground, may not. It really
Okay.
depends on whatever the future holds.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else?
Yeah, I have one more
Okay,
question.
sure.
Could you go back to the date slide, please? So we're looking maybe, 6 months of ongoing commission meetings for this? Is there any, I mean, if we're looking at like today, 17 properties, is there like maybe schools? I'm assuming it's much less. Could we combine that with something else to maybe shorten the time to 3 months, so to speak? I mean, this would be in addition to giving, property owners still 30 days and mailing out things to 200 feet, So I don't know. Would that be something that maybe we can talk about?
Yeah.
We can look into potentially combining some of these phases if it's possible.
Okay.
But we don't want to overwhelm the planning commission, so we broke it up enough.
Yeah, no, I understand. So thank you for that.
The other reason for breaking it up, in my opinion, was that it was more difficult delineating where the different parks were when there was a lot of, or not parks, but parcels or properties or whatever, when there was too many. So in my opinion, I would like that, the calendar as presented, because having so many parcels could be really difficult to manage in a meeting or at home when I'm reviewing documents. So, anybody else?
One last question, please.
Okay, go ahead,
Sorry,
Commissioner
Angie, listen,
Kennedy.
we haven't met in a long time. I always have questions, it's important.
Yeah.
And I think Chairman Pellman, Chair Pellman asked this question prior to the start of the meeting, but how, when we do have an adopted general plan from 2017, how 6 years later, almost 7 years later, are we just now cleaning up 141 parcels? How were they missed in the first place? And I understand there's a lot going on in the city, but it's a long time in between a general plan and a cleanup.
So they weren't necessarily missed, but this project was intended to be done right around 2019 is when we started it. And then what happened, as everyone knows, in early 2020, we entered the pandemic and we put this project on hold. Once we started coming out of COVID, we picked it back up again. But usually you do want to get your zoning done after your general plan within 3 to 5 years. So yeah, it is taking longer, but we put it on pause during COVID. We had to basically shift the resources and priorities.
Got it. All right. Thank you. I'm smiling because my one final thought is there's a typo on background. You left the R out on the first slide. It says background, but it made me smile.
I have
And-
one question.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Commissioner
Miss-
Rodriguez.
Go
and-
ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm good.
okay. Commissioner Twining.
Just out of curiosity, does staff anticipate in this first tranche of cleanups, do you guys anticipate any pushback or concern that, you got five responses on this initial one? You guys have any concern or anticipate that there might be pushback on any of these, so we can pay extra time to those?
Are you talking about of all of them or just the tonight's? What's on tonight?
Just tonight's. I'm sure there'll be some in the future, but
No,
just tonight's.
right. There isn't really any that raised the level. We met with both the Community Services Department as well as Public Works, and they didn't see any issues either.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I've looked at most of them, and I thought they looked pretty good. So I'll just leave it at that. I just wanted to know if we're going to have people pouring in here tonight. Go, no. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, just clarifying. So today we're not changing the general plan, right? Because when I read the general plan, it says it's up to the year 2040. But tonight we're getting the zoning map amendment. So just to be clear, we're fixing the zoning
We're fixing the zoning to match the general plan.
which the general plan was written in 2017 and is sort of the blueprint. So
Correct.
okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Nope. Okay, if there's no one else, I think we're going to basically conclude this part of the meeting, and we're going to, and there's no further questions. We'll conclude this study session, and we will recess until 6 p.m. and for the regular portion of the meeting. At this point, thank you.